Let's look further into this question of sovereign debt and the threat posed by it. Our next guest has been featured in Credit Magazine's Hall of Fame for his influence in the European bond market. He warns that the capital markets may be facing their biggest crisis in a century, even all time here. Gary Jenkins is the head of credit strategy at Evolution Securities. Gary, what do you mean by that?
Well, if we look back at the crisis of 2007, 2008, it looked like we were heading into the abyss, complete meltdown of the financial sector. But there was always the possibility that the governments could ride to the rescue, and they did that by injecting not only liquidity but also capital, and that's what really turned that crisis around. But when it comes to sovereigns, it's much more difficult to arrest the decline. If you look at Greece, for example, there's the 110 billion euros package organised by the EU and the IMF, but that's pure liquidity. And already the market has pretty much discounted that and is really pricing Greece for default, which I think is probably the most likely outcome.
Well, we did just see the German President Kohler sign that aid package into law. All the countries of the Eurozone obviously have to agree to pay the debt of Greece here. We did just see Germany sign up to do just that. So governments are taking effort here to provide liquidity. You saw Greece agree yesterday to take the austerity measures here. So measures are being taken. Why isn't the bleeding stopping?
Because people don't believe that it's enough. They don't believe that just the provision of liquidity is actually going to help Greece to get out of its problems over the next few years. They think that ultimately the most likely outcome is that Greece will have to default, will have to restructure on its debt. Because just providing liquidity, although liquidity is a great thing and it can get you through some troubled times, it's not going to be enough to turn Greece around. So the market's saying Greece is probably going to default. It's just a matter of when, and then it's looking at the next potential candidate.
And that's the problem. Is default, though, actually the way out?
Well, it's not going to be pleasant, but there isn't really a lot of different opportunities for much else. They can keep feeding Greece with as much liquidity as they like, but if Greece can't turn around its economy in the time that it needs to, the market just isn't going to believe it. So it's going to price other sovereigns in a similar manner. It might be better to get the pain out of the way sometime in an orderly fashion over this year, and then try and kind of circle the wagons around Portugal and Spain.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Gary Jenkins, for giving us your insight. We'll see what plays out over the weekend. Cost of insuring against default continue to rise across much of Southern Europe.